Alright, y'all. Welcome back to another juicy ass episode of Bayou and Bullshit, where we don't just stir the pot, we let it simmer and season it with the truth and serve it hot. Now, before we dive in, let me say this aloud for the folks in the back. If you confuse Creole and Cajun one more time, I'ma throw a shoe with aim. Today I'm setting the record straight. Creole versus Cajun. What's the difference? Where the hell did they come from? Are they related? Can they be mixed? And why does the gumbo taste so damn different depending on who made it? Now, I know all y'all used to me serving up this bloody mess, like, the axe murderers, the slave killing plantation owner, voodoo gone wild, haunted sugarcane fields. But today, baby, we taking a break from the crime scene. No chalk outlines, just culture, history, and a whole pot of Louisiana soul. This episode, it's a palate cleanser with seasoning. Now, before we get into the chunk of our story, I want to introduce a new segment that I'm trying out. And I need y'all help to let me know if I'm going to keep it. So, Bayou and Bullshit is about history. It's about the past. But sometimes people want to know about current happenings. So, I want to do a segment called Louisiana Sweet Tea, where I give you current news and you basically get in on the tea and you can go look it up for yourself, if you want to know more about it. Or you going to tell me after this, because this is the first time I'm doing it. So after this episode, you'll tell me, well, Sheikah, I kind of liked that story. Why you didn't give us no more? So I could, give you an update on the story, maybe like as the case progresses. So for the first Louisiana Tea segment, we are talking about on July 16th, current and former head law enforcement officer were taken into custody last week on an alleged scheme involving falsifying crimes to facilitate immigration visa fraud for profit. There was 4 law enforcement agents and a business owner. The following people were indicted by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Shreveport on a 62-count indictment for immigration conspiracy. Oakdale Police Chief Chad Doyle, Oakdale Ward 5 Marshal Mike Slaney, Forest Hill Police Chief Glenn Dixon, former Glenmora Police Chief Thibault Oniche, and Oakdale Subway restaurant owner Chandrakant Patel. I don't know if I said his name right or the man before him, but y'all can look this up. So they're being charged with the conspiracy to commit visa fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering. Patel is being charged with bribery. So the law enforcement agents are also being charged with several counts of each of visa fraud. So the complete indictment can be read on WBRZ.com. And WBRZ said that 2 of the defendants, Dixon and Doyle, were arrested in Baton Rouge while attending the Louisiana Association of Chiefs of Police conference at the Crown Plaza Hotel. Baby, they wasn't playing with them. They went up in there and got their tail. Okay? The process to apply for a visa begins with a petition where a law enforcement official must certify that the alleged crime happened and that the victim cooperated with law enforcement and in the criminal investigation. To be eligible for a U visa, a petitioner must prove that they suffered substantial physical or mental harm due to certain crimes, as well as not committing any previous crimes. So, the U.S. government started to see that there was an unusual number of armed robberies of people not from Louisiana in some of the small communities in Louisiana, and they were alleging that those people were victims of armed robberies. So, y'all, basically what the police did was, if you came to them and you was trying to get a visa, because you know that they deporting people, ICE basically deporting people. So, if you came to the police, because your friend was like, well, shit, I know how you can stay here. I got a homeboy. They got a homeboy that know how to hook it up. But a homeboy ended up being one of the police chiefs, like a law enforcement officer. I'm pretty sure they got smaller people working for them. That might be how somebody told. But basically, the family had to pay the law enforcement officers $5,000, and they would give them the visa. They would sign a petition for the visa to say that they were a victim of a crime, saying somebody committed an armed robbery, and then you would be able to stay in America. The gag is, y'all, the U visa, so say the dad or the mom was hurt in this alleged crime. Well, their family who lives with them can stay in America. Ain't that crazy? The Homeland Security said they about to get their ass. They had 11 search warrants in the area. These people not playing with them. The employment status of these local law enforcement officers are up to the state and local officials. Everybody's out of jail except for Patel, the business owner. He is still locked up as of July 16th. But a whole week later, he may be out because he had a little money. So they say that the people the law enforcement officers didn't pose a flight risk. But I guess Patel did. And it probably has to do something with him being a person of color. But we're going to leave that alone. But now that we are done with that, we can get into the meat of this shit. We are about to talk about the Creoles and the Cajuns. So y'all just let me know if y'all like that segment, putting y'all in people's business. Cause I like being in people's business, and I ain't gonna lie, when I saw it on the news, I was like, "Ooh, that's some juicy tea." Police getting locked up for lying about a crime. That's shit you see on a movie. It's normally not real life. So, yeah, definitely let me know if you want me to update you on that, or I'm probably gonna update you anyway. But just let me know if you like the Louisiana sweet tea segment. But anyway, let's get with what these words mean, what the culture means, what the people mean. So, Creole comes from the word, Portuguese word, Crioulo, or Spanish word, Criollo. And it originally meant native born, so someone born in the colony instead of the motherland. So if you were born in Louisiana, but your people came from France, Spain, or even Africa, you were Creole. But baby, that word changed depending on who you asked and what year it was. So in colonial Louisiana, Creole could mean just white French colonists that were born here. And then later on, it also meant black or mixed race people born in Louisiana. But then it was like white Spanish people born in Louisiana. Basically, it was just people born in Louisiana. By the 1800s, Creole became its own identity. The language, the food, fashion, fate, it was all rolled into one. And so I have I'm gonna do a quote from different parts of these cultures, and I don't know these people specifically, but I'm gonna give you the quote and y'all just run with it. So the first quote is, "My mama said, child, being Creole don't make you better than nobody, but it do make you different. We ain't American. We was Creole first." That sounded good. That's my New Orleans voice. But Creoles built New Orleans from the ground up. Literally, the architecture, politics, schools, even the damn opera house. Black Creoles and Creoles of colors were lawyers, doctors, teachers, and this was before black folks in other parts of America could even vote. Creole is Creole, y'all. Like, I don't know how to... It's not a look. That's what we're going to say. It's not a look. Like, it don't look like nothing. Because you could be dark as my grandmother or as light as my little cousin who's brighter than the rest of us. But, like, y'all, I feel like if you're born in a certain region, you could be Creole. Shit, you could be Creole / Cajun. Just depends on, who who your people is. Because once you are born of a culture, you have to realize that you are a part of that culture. So realize the Cajuns from Acadiana came here. And then they started to have kids who were born here, which made them Cajun Creoles. That's what I'm getting, right? But let's move on. So what does Cajun mean? I'm about to flip this script. I don't know if you ever heard of Cajun talk. They have like it's a southern drawl, like it's like that. I can't explain it, but I'm assuming the Cajun is a Louisiana spin on the word Acadian. Acadian. It may be a Cajun, and we've been saying it wrong our whole life. Because I literally say, there's a street named Acadian Thruway, and that's what we call it. But if a Cajun comes from Acadian or a Cajun, the way it's spelled, it looks like a Cajun. So, it might be a Cajun Thruway. That's what it is. So, whatever. But the Cajuns were French-speaking Catholics from Nova Scotia, Canada, back when it was still called Acadia. See? Acadia. It may not be Acadia, but that's what it said on the news. So, I mean, on TV. So, we've been saying Acadia and Acadian, but I think it's a Cajun. That's what it is. A Cajun. Whatever. Okay. But in 1755, the British came through with, that fucking white-ass colonial hate. And was like, y'all gotta fucking go. Which is crazy because the Cajuns were born in Nova Scotia, Canada, which was British. It's still British. But, they are part of y'all. But now that I think about it, they French speaking, and I don't think the British spoke French. I think they spoke English. So I just don't know. Whatever. So basically, the British put these people through hell. They tore their families apart. They stole the people land. And they folks straight up killed. Now, the Europeans good for taking people land. They good for doing some nasty old shit like that. But I'm gonna get a Cajuns credit because them people is resilient, baby. They resilient. And I'm after doing my research for this episode, I'm admired by how they shook back. So, some of them ended up, some of the people from Acadia ended up in Louisiana. Cause I keep stumbling over Acadian and Acadia, cause that's how I said it my whole life, and I just want to say Acadian so bad, but I'm gonna say Acadian, cause that's what I've learned. But I'm gonna figure out if it's French, and I'm gonna say it right after I figure it out. But so when the Cajun people ended up in Louisiana, that's where the Cajun story begins. They settled in the bayous, the prairies, and the swamplands. And this was places people basically was like, it's the fucking jungle. Who wants to live there? But the Cajuns made it a home. And if you visit the area where a high Cajun population is, mostly where they live is kind of, you can still see it's kind of like rustic, almost, I want to say country. Not like if you visit New Orleans where most Creoles are. It's city life. It's lights. It's you know what I'm saying? Not saying that Lafayette area or the Acadiana area doesn't have lights. It's just not so city. Like their city part is smaller than compared to New Orleans. But these people lived off the land. They built tight-knit communities and they kept speaking French. But the government tried to beat it out of them. Like, stop it. Like, they would whoop those kids at school because they were speaking French. But that's what they knew, that this is how they grew up. Like, it's crazy. Imagine just the talk you've known your whole life. My Cajun papa said, we ain't poor, we just Cajun. We can fix anything with duct tape, gumbo, and a prayer. Now, I gotta make y'all laugh because maybe my grandma Creole Cajun because her ass can fix anything with tape. I ain't gonna lie. My grandma, when I was little, my grandmother used to tape everything. She worked at a hospital, so she used to have a lot of medical tape. A lot of our house was taped up together with that damn medical tape, and that was back when the tape was good. So, it, my girl, she's from the Acadian, the Acadian, it's Acadiana, it's Acadiana. That area is not far from where she grew up, because I feel like that Louisiana is a big old circle. So there's a place when you're going to Lafayette, you could take a back road and end up in New Orleans. Don't ask me how, because I don't know, and I know it's gonna take um, a longer ride, but I do know that it's possible because I almost ended up. Well, I ended up in a spot where I know I could get to New Orleans from, if that makes sense. Alrighty. So let's talk geography. Like, where these folks is at? The Creoles were mostly based in New Orleans, like I told you, and their surrounding parishes: St. John the Baptist, St. James, St. Charles, and parts of Baton Rouge, where I'm from. Mm. But do not get it twisted. Creoles is not just in the city. There are Creole communities, like I said, in South Louisiana, some even in East Texas and Mississippi. So, y'all remember when I said that Creoles and Cajuns could possibly be one and the same? Like, there's a difference. The Cajun culture is Cajun culture, but Creole culture is Creole culture. But you do have a case where someone is a Creole Cajun, because people mixed up. Like, Louisiana is a melting pot. People literally mixed up, because some Cajuns might have moved to New Orleans. So for work, you don't know. And then guess what? Had a baby with a Creole person. Now you literally have a Creole Cajun that's born. Like, you don't get to pick one or the other. It's almost like being black and white. When a black person is with a white person or someone of another race, and a child comes out biracial, you don't get to pick one. You are both. You get what I'm saying? Like, you could live as one. Like, you could tell people, no, I'm mixed, or I'm black, or I'm white. But I think it's unfair to both sides that you would say, oh, I'm black, I'm this, I'm that. You are biracial. You are what you are. Own that shit. But the Creoles were New Orleans, South Louisiana. So they were not far from Lafayette, Homer, Thibodaux, Napoleonville, Donaldsonville, Bertrandville, Pankovril, Labourville, all of them villes. But Cajuns, they were mostly like in Acadiana. So we talking Lafayette, Beaubridge, Opelousas, Ville Platte, Eunice, Homer, which is not far from Thibodaux, and Napoleonville, Donaldsonville, Ville Platte. All of that is one big circle and crowded. So Cajuns, just like Creoles, are all over. Some of them moved to Texas and Florida. So they everywhere, and they still cooking. That people be cooking. Let's talk about the food. Let's talk about the food, because that's what everybody really care about. There was recently this big old debate who got the best food. So this becomes, because I have to look at it like this. You got your Creoles in New Orleans, and you got your Cajuns in Lafayette. So now there's a debate currently going on who got the better food, New Orleans or Lafayette. I'm from Baton Rouge, so I'm neutral. I don't have a dog in the fight. I like my food. I like people food in Baton Rouge. I like people food in New Orleans. I like people food in Lafayette, Donaldsonville, Napoleonville, all of that. I like food, period. If it's good, it's good. Louisiana has its own taste of food. So, in New Orleans, when I go to New Orleans, I go get me a fucking hot sausage po' boy. That's a Patton's hot sausage patty that's grilled like a hamburger, and it is dressed like a hamburger, and I eat that shit, and that shit be good. Okay? They shrimp po' boys are good. There's also a restaurant in Neaws in New Orleans that I like to go to. Very good. Now, when I'm in Lafayette, I'm going to Billy's and get some boudin. Okay? I'm gonna get the boudin, some chicken cracklings. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna go to Praisians and get me a little seafood platter. They food be good too. But I like all of it. It's like if you ask me what I like the most out of all of them, I can't pick because that's what I like. So there's this man came down. His name I'm not gonna say because he not getting that shine on my platform. But he came to Baton Rouge. He said our food was nasty, I guess, or not up to par. I don't know. Whatever. It's F him and his mama or whatever. Not his mama, but you know. Anyway, he went to New Orleans and the food in New Orleans was supposedly nasty. Somebody so while he doing this in New Orleans, people are literally in the comments dragging him like somebody in New Orleans must have broke your heart. Like somebody in these cities must have broke your heart. He goes to Lafayette. Now Lafayette has the best food in Louisiana. I ain't saying neither one got the best food, but what I am gonna say is I haven't had as much good food in Lafayette as I've had in I haven't had as much good food in Lafayette as I had in New Orleans. And it could be possibly because I don't get to Lafayette often. But I'm not gonna say Lafayette food not good. It's just it's different. It's like I went to Lake Charles. I always got a story. So I went to Lake Charles and one of my friends, she was like, "Ooh, girl, I had some good crawfish etouffee." Now, mind you, this girl had been telling me that she don't eat crawfish etouffee. So I'm confused as to how you had good crawfish etouffee. And I said, "I thought you never ate it." She said, "No, but it's this one restaurant in Lake Charles." And I'm saying Lake Charles because Lake Charles isn't far from Lafayette. So she's like, "Yeah, they crawfish etouffee was so good, so good, so good, so good." Y'all, when I got to the restaurant, now crawfish etouffee has its color. It's a color that it has, and I'm saying crawfish etouffee is my favorite food to eat. Crawfish etouffee, potato salad, and fried fish over rice. Over rice with the potato salad. If I don't got potato salad, you can put it over French fries. But yeah, and try it out. It's good. But anyway, um, she just was like, "This food so good, so good," and she eat this certain seasoning with her food, and it come from the baby. No, listen. One thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try it out because I give everybody a chance. Y'all, when I got to the restaurant, the crawfish etouffee was orange. Crawfish etouffee is not orange. It's definitely brown. It's a shade of brown. It's not like gumbo brown though. It's different from that. But it's not orange. And it ain't thick. It was thick like grits. Like grits. Y'all was so pissed off because the crawfish etouffee is my favorite food. Why the fuck would you lie and say that this is good crawfish? Oh, well, that's maybe why I liked it. Girl, fuck you. I'm finna go get me some McDonald's because this done pissed me off. But that was just that restaurant. That was my little story about, the food, listening to somebody else about food. I don't like to listen to other people about food. So, anyway, Cajun food has a rustic, rural, and hot. It's very spicy. So when you're thinking of Cajun food, these are Cajun dishes. Boudin, cracklings, crawfish balls, smoked sausage, dirty rice, gumbo, that kind of shit. But the gumbo is dark and thick. Like the roux is made with oil and flour. And it's normally like the color of like a Hershey bar, I guess you would say. Creole food is like more of a city food, like shrimp Creole, red beans and rice, jambalaya, crab bisque, and their gumbo is more Caribbean. They say, well, yeah, more Caribbean because I've had Caribbean food before, and it's definitely more Caribbean. And they make their roux sometimes with butter, but I had read somewhere that they put tomatoes in their gumbo, and I ain't never had no gumbo with tomatoes in it from nowhere. Nobody Creole. Now I had shrimp Creole and the etouffee with tomatoes in it, but I've never had gumbo. I've never seen gumbo with tomatoes in it, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that. But food that Creole food is more elegant, like Sunday dinner at your rich auntie house. So my drunk uncle at the fish fry say if they put hot dogs in a jambalaya, I'm calling the cops. Period. Because why would you put hot dogs in a gumbo? Now, one thing I do know that I've seen, so there's this thing about gumbo. You don't supposed to put this in a gumbo. You don't supposed to put this in gumbo. Gumbo is how you make it. You could throw a whole bunch of, the root is what the gumbo is. Now, the shit you put in the gumbo, that's your decision. Like, it's the roux. That's what, if your roux is your roux, if it tastes like it, the rest of the food gonna taste like it. It's literally because your roux, the flavor of your roux is so strong that it takes over all of the other flavors that's in the pot. Okay? So, recently I just had a cup, y'all. So, they got this place. It's called, you can get a small gumbo or a large gumbo. So, I got a small, I paid $11 for a small gumbo, seafood gumbo. Can somebody tell me why I was eating a gumbo and I put a meatball? Well, not a meatball. So I thought it was a meatball until I bit into it. Yeah, why it was my favorite hot sausage from, like the hot sausage before I be eating. It was hot sausage. And I was like, when I cook gumbo, I never put this in there. And I remember my mama saying she had went to somebody's house and they had meatballs in their gumbo. And she was like, oh, I'm not about to eat that. But why should eat triangle gumbo? And it got the meatball she's talking about. But no, it is the hot sausage patty rolled up. So they put andouille sausage and hot sausage patty. It's fucking good, y'all. It's fucking good. But yeah, so don't put hot dogs in there. Put so I don't want crawfish in my gumbo because crawfish is crawfish and gumbo is normally reserved for like shrimp, chicken, crab, blue crabs. Now you could do snow crabs if you want to, but it's just not the same. The meat ain't the same. It's not gonna give it the same taste. So blue crabs, gumbo crabs. What else? Oh yeah, andouille sausage. You got to do your whole holy trinity. If you don't do your seasonings, bell pepper, onion, and celery, it's the food. All right, do it. All right. But yeah, so that food similar, not so similar. A little bit, not quite. No, it's not the same. Two different tastes. I was reading online and somebody was saying, why did the TikTok influencer go to get a muffalata? And you have to realize that Spain, Italy, all of that is in Europe. A muffalata has been served in Louisiana for a long time. It is an Italian sandwich. And New Orleans has a high Italian presence. And I'm going to do an episode on that too one day. I just got to make sure ain't nobody coming to get me. But New Orleans has a high Italian presence. That's why he went and got a muffalata, because New Orleans is known for they muffalatas. Like, you just because you black and you didn't try it, you didn't have it before, doesn't mean that people don't like it. Because not just black people live in New Orleans. Like, y'all do realize that the Europeans colonized. Okay, whatever. So now we're going to talk about sound, speech, and spirit. So 3 major cultural cornerstones of the Creole and Cajun communities. Creoles and Cajuns both spoke French, but different kinds. Cajun French sounds more rural, it's nasal, and closer to 1700s Acadian roots. Creole French is smooth and rhythmic with Spanish and African undertones. There's also Louisiana Creole, a French-based Creole language spoken by an older generation of black Creoles. Y'all, it's almost like, so I'm gonna say Louisiana Creole, the language is kind of like a pig Latin. If you're not a part of those people, that culture, you won't understand what they're saying, but they understand what each other's saying. So the music in these cultures, Cajun music uses the accordion, fiddle, triangle. It has its roots in folk and bluegrass. So they gave us zydeco music, baby blues, funk, soul, accordion magic mixed with washboards and rhythms that hit you in your chest. Okay? Jazz music is Creole. Like, that's Creole. Okay? So, both cultures are traditionally Catholic, but Creole Catholicism often blends in with African spirituality and folk healing, like gree bags, altars, and prayers to saints that sound a little different than what's in the Vatican handbook. So, like them gree bags is like a little, I forgot what they call it. The gree handbag basically like a protection. It's no different from wearing a cross. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think I said that in my, so I don't know if you remember in my last episode with Clementine Barnabette, I was talking about her voodoo bag. It was supposedly a gree, but hers was evil. And, some of them, I know like when I was growing up, they'll tell you wrap a string around your baby, wrap a string around your baby arm for something, or like put a $50 50-cent piece on your baby neighbor so it could go in. If the baby got hiccups, put a cross on his head with like it was either broomstick or string. I couldn't remember that one, but it's just little different things that it's culture. It's African culture, so it's just interwoven into. So I want to talk about global impact of each of the cultures. So the Creoles gave us jazz music. Yeah, jazz music. One famous Creole, Jelly Roll Martin, not the Jelly Roll who sing country music, but Jelly Roll from back in the day. He was foundational in creating America's first true music genre. And we're not gonna say so. Jelly Roll and Buddy Bolden, because Buddy Bolden is like the father of jazz. So he's not talked about enough. I'm definitely gonna talk about him on here because he got a good. It's a short story, but it's a good story. So the Creole communities across the diaspora fight to keep their French dialects and traditions alive. Cultural fusion, fashion feud, music, you name it. Creoles have blended old world with new world in a way that nobody else can. The Cajuns gave us swamp ingenuity. From outboard boat motors to crawfish farming, Cajuns made survival in art. Cuisine that shapes southern food. If it's blackened, they're gonna blacken it. And like a Cajun chef, baby. Music that travel. Cajun Zydeco is performed in Europe, Africa, Asia. It's export level rhythm. Okay, the music became an export. So I wanted to do a area where we talk about some famous people who you may or may not have heard of, and tell you what part of the community they are a part of. So even though Josephine Baker was born in St. Louis, she is Creole. She was an entertainer, a World War II spy, and she was a freedom icon. If you want to know more about her, you should look her up. She's not from Louisiana, so she won't get an episode from me because she's not from Louisiana. But my girl was a Creole, and that's basically one of her family members were born here, and they moved to St. Louis, and that's how she became whatever. But she was actually a person who was a civil rights activist, and she basically went to France and blew the fuck up because she couldn't do it over here in America. So shout out to Josephine Baker. My our girl Queen B, Beyonce, Miss Tina. Well, y'all know Miss Tina is Beyonce's mama. She got Creole roots on her side, so she from Louisiana. Her family's from Louisiana. And I'm not gonna do an episode on Beyonce because Beyonce not from Louisiana. Beyonce is from Texas. I don't know. I think Miss Tina from Texas, and so see their Louisiana roots is not immediate, so can't do them. And then there's Marie Laveau. the OG voodoo queen of New Orleans. And that's what I'm doing my next episode on. Yeah, my girl Marie gonna get an episode. um, Now if you have watched America Horror Story Coven, I think that's the name of it. It took place in New Orleans, and Angela Bassett plays Marie. But Marie Laveau was a Creole, and I'm going into my girl in her own episode. This is basically the next episode after this one, so that's for next week. So then you got your Cajuns, famous Cajuns. Chef Paul Prudhomme. He was the Cajun king of seasoning and blackened fish. I want to say this, that chubby white man with the beard. He used to have a beard. And, well, I think he passed on, if I'm not mistaken. If he not, I'm sorry, Mr. Paul. I ain't mean to kill you. But if he is, may he rest in peace. I don't know. I should have looked that up before I even said something. But I am fucked up. I'm going to look it up later, though. Folk music legend who brought the Cajun fiddle to the world stage, Dewey Balfour. He was a famous Cajun. And Allie Landry, Miss USA, is from Brobridge. Did not know that. And, okay, girl. I didn't know Allie Landry was from Brobridge. That's crazy. Go, Allie. From Louisiana. Okay. So let's not romanticize these cultures too hard because they went through hell. The Creoles dealt with colorism, racism, erasure. Some were forced to choose between black and white identities just to survive Jim Crow. So, I don't know if you ever heard of passe blanc. That's when people pass as white. Some Creoles literally, families, like some of their families are just finding out that they black. Because back in the days, they passed as white. And then they kept marrying white. And marrying white. And marrying white until there was still the one drop rule. But white looked easier. I know it sounds fucked up, but it is what it is. So Cajuns were beaten in school for speaking French. They were called coon asses, and I've heard people say this, and I thought it was so mean the way it was said. And they were treated like backwards hill folk. So I'm like, man, look. But both of these people said, hell no. You know, they organized, they taught their kids, started cultural festivals. They got their languages recognized, and guess what? They still resist in every pot of gumbo, every fiddle song, every French phrase whispered to a baby in the kitchen. But what's the difference? Creole is city, polished, blended, flair. Just think of fancy. But Cajun is hood brother who don't nobody want. You know, we still want to take part of it, but it's country, grit, fire, it's soul. But both are Louisiana, in the bones, in the blood, and in the damn air. So when people say, what's the difference between Creole and Cajun? You can hit them with this. Different roots, different roads, same fight, same fire. And both season better than your grandma cast iron. Well, that's it for this episode of Bayou and Bullshit. Next week, we talking Marie Laveau. Was she a witch, a healer, a queen, or was she a myth? You decide. All right, baby. If this episode stirred your pot, tickled your spirit, or taught you something you ain't learned in school, don't be stingy with the love. Go ahead and rate my show 5 stars. Leave me a review and share it with your Mr. Cousin, your loud auntie, and that one friend that swear they Creole but can't cook a roux to save their life. Don't forget to follow me on social media for behind the scenes tea, bonus content, and all things Louisiana. You can find me on Instagram at Bayou and Bullshit Pod, no I. You can find me on X at Bayou and Bullshit, no I. I'm still getting my Facebook and TikTok together, so give me a minute with the name change and everything. And you can also talk to me on Facebook in my podcast discussion group is Bayou and Bullshit Podcast. But don't put the I, put a star. And it's only one I, so y'all can't, they ain't hard. New episodes drop weekly, so set your notifications, turn up the volume, and meet me back here for another messy, magical, and multi good time. This is Shika Denise signing off like I always do. Eat good, live loud, and don't let nobody whitewash your gumbo.